He's back. The clown is back in town. Where's he been? Well, I've been having some health issues, but hey, those are over, man. Uh, Back to being funny, man, because sometimes health issues, not even the health thing, man, like the people can bring you down. Just the people you're dealing with, the doctors and the psychologists and the psychiatrists and this one and that one. And just some people are just miserable in life. And sometimes you'd rather be sick than deal with them. And whatever the case, man, whatever you're doing today, I'm back, man. This is Final Clown Podcast. I'm your host, Dennis Wirth. Episode 141. It is March 20th, 2022. And we're going to be hitting the newer late night circle. We did, earlier in the podcast episodes, we did the late night talk show wars with the David Lettermans and the Jay Lenos, and when Carson retired. Well, now we're gonna kick up to the modern day late night wars with the Jimmy Kimmel's, Jimmy Fallon's, and stuff like that, and Stephen Colbert's. Well, today to kick it off, we're going to be discussing Mr. Jimmy Kimmel, which is cool about this guy, because when I discuss David Letterman, I discuss Jay Leno. I mean, I when I was a kid, I saw them at their peak, okay, and yeah, I saw them a little bit growing up, but I didn't know where they started. I mean, I wasn't that old that I went back to where they started in comedy. Where Jimmy Kimmel, here's a guy I watched from his very start. When he was a nobody, I got to see his career go to where it is today. Step by step, I got to watch this guy. So when you don't have to rely on film or the internet or whatever to learn someone's backstory up until the point where you've seen them, when you actually seen them live from day one. That's a cool thing to talk about. As always, today's episode is brought to you by G Vegas buffalo sauce, and there it is, baby, some G Vegas buffalo sauce. If you're watching the video version right there, huh? Ooh, one of these days I'm gonna cook some wings up, and I'm gonna eat some of these live right here on the podcast, just to who knows what I'm gonna do there. Well, right now I'm on a diet, so I can't do it right now, but maybe I can well, yeah, chicken wings ain't that bad, I guess. Little buffalo wings, I mean, why not, right? Go green, have it shipped to your door. G Vegas buffalo sauce, man. Yeah, actually, I watched that on the internet recently. The guy's got a show, just the wings get hotter and harder as he asks you a question. And so he's had some big time guests on there. It was a popular show. Good idea by him. But hey, we're exploring the history of comedy here, and that's a cool thing by me too, I think. And thank you guys, for tuning in. A little clown mafia I got here. But let's see, Mr. Jimmy Kimmel. Let's see, man. Best known, obviously, Jimmy Kimmel Live, the late night talk show host on ABC. But let's see, hosted the Primetime Emmys in 2012, 2016, and 2020, and also hosted the Academy Awards in 2017 and 18. So big stuff going on there. Let's see, he was co-host for a while on Comedy Central's The Man Show. I was a huge fan of that show. And Win Ben Stein's Money, which I remember him. That was where I first, you first got exposed to him mainstream. Let's see, he produced the show Crank Yankers. It was another one. I was a big fan of that show, which the Jerky Boys came out with making prank phone calls into a mainstream thing, and he followed it up by having puppets actually act out making prank phone calls on air. So that was taken it to the next level, I guess. Let's see. He produced the sports show at Norm Macdonald's. So I mean, recognizing Norm Macdonald's talent and putting him on a sports show was certainly genius. The Andy Mullimax show, which I can't say I've ever seen that. So there's something he did that I did not know about. But for the most part of this guy's career, I have seen it. Let's see. Time Magazine named him one of the 100 most influential people on the planet, which means a lot of people listen to this guy. I was recently asked that, what makes a good podcast, and they said, why is Joe Rogan been so successful? And I thought about it. I didn't give a good answer at the time, but after thinking about it, I think the answer is Joe could sit down with like a 19-year-old kid and actually relate to him and have an intelligent conversation with him, or he could sit down with like a 60-year-old man and actually relate to him and have an intelligent conversation with him. I think when you can appeal to every audience out there, that's what makes a good podcast. And hey, everybody likes comedy, so let's hope I'm appealing to you. But I don't know if I'm one of the most 100 influential people on the internet, but maybe in the comedy podcast world, I don't know. But hey, I'm proud of the work I'm putting out. Let's see. After Conan O'Brien's retirement, he is now the elder statesman, the veteran of the late night host. Yeah, I guess he started before Jimmy Fallon and Stephen Colbert, so I guess he's the which, I mean, if you're in that veteran status, it's cool because Ed Sullivan, he held it for a while. He was a veteran. Then Carson, and then Letterman and Leno, and all these late night icons. Just to be, even put in the same sentence as those great people. Great late night talk show hosts or whatever. That's just something to be said, I guess. Let's see. He said he was inspired by David Letterman's start in radio, okay, where David Letterman turned this huge television career, but he actually started in radio, which turned into like a local television gig, which launched into, a comedy in this, and that was the path that he chose to make his way up. Okay, but a lot of great starting radio. Let's see. Kimmel started at UNLV's online radio station KUNV. He went to college out in Arizona. He got another college radio, KZZP. His first paying gig, which is always cool in comedy, okay, because if you can get paid, okay. I remember I did comedy for like a year before I got gas money, and when I got $20 for gas money, I was like, "You can get gas money to do this." It was the coolest experience to up where I started doing local shows. I was making a few $100 to where I started booking national acts. Now you're into making $1,000, and it's good to see. It's good, I always said if I could ever like have to quit my day job and just do comedy and not have to have a day job, that'd be the coolest thing in the world. So getting a paid gig to do what you love to do, there's nothing better than that in the world right there. And first paid gig came in Seattle on KZOK, where I guess he kind of did a Howard Stern, not like a Howard Stern thing, but I mean, he did his own thing, but he performed stunts on the air. And I guess some of these stunts were pretty crazy. And a lot of the people who were investing in the radio station, his advertisement, they didn't like what he was doing. They lost over $8,000 in revenue because people were pulling out because of his stupid stunts and the, bad publicity that they felt it was giving. So they ended up firing him for it because, hey, it don't matter if you're funny, and it don't matter, if the people love you. All that matters is the money. And when you're getting paid, okay, so they got to make some money to pay you. And if your advertisers are pulling out, well, it don't matter how funny you are. Caught back on though, he was hired by WRBO in Tampa Bay, Florida, where did it for a while, moved on to KCMJ, Palm Springs, California. Back to Arizona on a major radio station, not college, KRRQ, then KROQ in Los Angeles. And while he was in Los Angeles, he met his lifetime friend, Adam Carolla. And they were doing some great stuff on radio. I guess TV was never something he really wanted to do. He was hired by Fox TV to write some ads, okay, which then eventually, after writing enough good ads, they actually asked him to come on there and start performing the ads that he wrote. And he was offered his show many times, and I guess he turned down a lot of opportunities because he didn't like the project. He wasn't interested in it. Where most people like, I don't care, it's TV, yeah, give me the project whether I like it or not. I mean, he held out for something he really wanted to do, which is a smart move in life, because if you put out shitty work just to get paid, you're not going to go far. Okay, if you hold out and do what you love to do, then that's just going to make you launch into the big time. So yeah, you're willing to settle, you want to pay the rent, sometimes you got to settle, you got to do what you got to do. But if you're willing to sleep in your car and eat out of a candle, the right thing comes along. That's the thing legends are made of right there. The people who tuck tail and go home don't make it. The people who stick it out, well, that gets you to legend status. Eventually, he did find a thing that interested him. They offered him the sidekick co-host Ben Stein on Win Ben Stein's Money, and it appeared on Comedy Central. So he took that gig, and that's where I remember him first. I remember like a young teenage Jimmy Kimmel just like handing out stuff for Ben Stein on the game show, and it was a good show. Won some awards. That led to
a bigger thing on Comedy Central. They recognized him there. I get to co-host with his then friend Adam Carolla of the Man Show, which means, all right, you're doing so good. We'll give you your idea. This was his idea. I'm going to bring in my friend. We're going to do the Man Show, and I love that show. I guess I guess maybe I'm a male chauvinist or whatever, but it was funny as hell. Most guys could relate to it. I guess it was kind of like the Al Bundy, from Married with Children, just that kind of there was that kind of show where a man's a man and this is my house type thing. Um, Eventually he had to leave when he did Joe Rogan, who's got the biggest podcast going on now, one of them anyway, and Doug Stanhope is another amazing underground comic who's got a great audience. They took it over. I think it might have lasted a season, and it wasn't the same show where Jimmy and Adam, they were just being themselves, and I thought Joe and Doug, they just had too much scripted stuff. There wasn't enough them just being them. But tough to follow up a great show like that. Let's see. That led to, as I said, Crank Yankers, which you know, man, prank phone calls, they were a big thing when I was young, boy. Everybody's the Jerky Boys made it into something big, and Crank Yankers made it into something bigger by adding puppets to it. And I know they have an award every year for like the newest best use of puppets. I don't know if they won it or not, but what a brilliant idea to add. How can we make prank phone calls funny? Let's have puppets actually act out the phone calls. I mean, it was a genius idea. They actually brought it back. I know years later they brought it. It was they had so many good ones on there. I remember Jimmy, he did the voice of Elmer, the old guy. This is Elmer. Some prank phone calls as an old guy, but everybody's got their voice. Had on a lot of stars on there. Yeah, just Dave Chappelle, I remember. Sarah Silverman, just a lot of big names did it. Let's see. That led to the Andy Malenica show again on MTV2. I did not see that, but not a bad place to be. After pretty much, when everything you touch turns to gold, and I mean, the Man Show was a very popular show. Crank Yankers was a very popular show. Recognized, winning awards of Ben Stein, win Ben Stein's money. Eventually, somebody big is going to come calling. ABC saw his talent. They came calling him. They offered him his own late night show on, mainstream, one of the big three stations there, NBC, ABC, CBS, and yeah, now you could say, Fox is part of that and UPN 38, but I mean, they got the big three. He was on one of them, and 2007, he started the late night talk show Jimmy Kimmel Live, which ironically was live to begin with. After a while, it wasn't live because I guess some actor went on there and started cursing it out, and they couldn't like bleep out his curses quick enough, and some got through, so they had to post date it a little bit. Let's see, during the 2004 NBA Finals, he made a joke. It was the Detroit Pistons and the LA Lakers, and he said, well, Detroit, they better not try to win because if they win, they'll burn down the entire city and it's not worth it, which is a funny joke, but I guess Detroit got offended. They decided they weren't going to air his show in the Detroit area. Then word got out in the whole nation that whatever, they wouldn't air his show, and he had to apologize for making an offbeat joke like that, which, gosh, I hate that when people get that sensitive. It was a joke. It wasn't meant to be taken seriously, Let's see. He ends most of his shows with my apologies to Matt Damon, and I guess it's a running joke they have because the one time they had Matt Damon on the show went so long. Matt Damon came out and sat down, and the first thing Jimmy said was, "We're out of time. My apologies to Matt Damon," who sat down and never got interviewed, never got to say a freaking word. So as a running joke, every show we ended off with that, and I guess there were no hard feelings between him and Matt Damon. That's show business, but I guess Matt Damon said it was kind of a running joke between him and them. Let's see. There was, I remember a few years ago, the government shut down for a little while, and during the government shutdown, he had a roundtable discussion, but he had kids on it, and he wanted to get the kids' ideas of what we could do to get the government to open back up. And I guess one of the kids' ideas was the economy's bad. That's why the government shut down, and it was the Chinese that did it. Maybe we should kill all the Chinese. And Jimmy's just like, oh, okay, there's an idea. What do you make of that? Then later on, I guess he asked one of the kids, should we let the Chinese live? And I guess again, everybody got offended by that. Again, it was a joke, but nobody can take a joke nowadays. So he had to apologize for that. And I guess even in the Chinese community, which I don't know if they get Jimmy Fallon, I know over there they don't have Facebook because you can't say whatever you want. It's not a free country. I guess there was coming out in China, there was like some heat for him saying that stuff. So, when you're reaching a Chinese audience and pissing them off, I don't know. That's really saying something. Let's see. He did a lot of talk shows on the talk show circuit. Regis and Kelly, the Howard Stern Show, the Ellen DeGeneres Show, David Letterman. He appeared on the Hugh Hefner roast and the Pamela Anderson roast. Which I think that Hugh Hefner was at the Friars Club who originated the roast, and Comedy Central thought it was such a good idea. Hey, we'll steal it. And they started doing roast. Pam Anderson roast, and Jimmy was on there too. Let's see. He appeared on Dancing with the Stars, which I can't say I've ever seen an episode of that, but my mom absolutely loves that show. And I know it is one of the biggest shows on TV. So if you're getting on there, that's quite the accomplishment to your name. Let's see. 2006, he was named the game show host of Set for Life. Can't say I ever seen it, and I can't say it stuck around, so I don't know how good it went. But I know there ain't many game shows on. Not like when I was a kid. There was all kinds of game shows. Now there's only a few. But if you like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, that one was huge. It got so huge they overdid it and burnt it out. But yeah, I guess the world needs a good new game show. Who knows? Let's see. Jimmy Kimmel and LeBron James hosted the 2007 ESPY Awards together, so that's always cool when you can get into ESPN and be part of your, your sports heroes. And I'm from Boston, baby, so I'm a big sports guy. I just got done watching the Celtics before this podcast, and they blew out the Denver Nuggets in their own building. So we get jacked up for our sports here in Boston. Let's see. He hosted the ABC American Music Awards in 2003, 4, 6, 7, and 8. So a lot of hosting stuff going on for him. Making a name for himself in the host world, which is always cool when you get a late night talk show. He was in several animated films. Here's one I didn't know about him. I didn't know he did a lot of animated work, but I guess he was in he did some voice work in Garfield the movie, the cartoon Road Trip, Family Guy, one of the bigger ones, Robot Chickens, which was one of Cartoon Network's cartoons they had on for a while. Let's see. During the Conan, I remember I seen this live, but it did crack me up. But during when Conan O'Brien and Jay Leno, they were having the war because Leno was supposed to retire and Conan was going to take over. And then they decided they wanted Leno to stay. Then they did, and they did. Nobody knew what was going to happen. They called Leno back, and then Conan said, I wouldn't have did that if I left. I'd have left gracefully. It turned into it was, the modern day late night war to drum up interest. Who knows what? But Jimmy did like a video call, and Jay Leno had him on the show, and Jay's nice enough to put him on the Tonight Show and have him call in. And instead of appreciating it, the guy like Jimmy, like really tore up Jay Leno. It was funny as heck. Did like a top 10 list, and everyone who was taking a shot at Jay, why he should just give Conan the show and step down. And I guess he said, hey, me and Conan have kids, and Leno, you only have cars. Why don't you leave us alone? Leave late night alone, because I think they were trying to like do the time shift so they could have both Conan and Jay Leno on, but they'd have to shift Conan out of the late night. They'd still call it late night, but shift him out of the time slot it was in the later. And like Conan's like, well, no, it's not the Tonight Show if I'm out of the time slot. He wasn't going to do that. So it was, yeah, every time they get a new host, maybe they do it on purpose to drum up interest in who the new host is. Who knows? Let's see. He hosts the celebrity edition of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which Regis Philbin obviously did the regular show, but I guess nowadays they do a celebrity edition of it every now and then. He gets to be the new host of that. Let's see. Then he did have some problems. I mean, not everything, like I said, everything I touched, this guy turned to gold. He did have some problems where but it's a generational change. These millennials who are offended by everything, they don't get our time where we could take a joke and we made fun of everything. We knew it was a joke and we didn't care. Let's see. 2009. Well, the things that he got offended, he did, I guess, in some music videos that he took part in, they could hear him saying some racial slurs or something, and they really took offense. Oh, Jimmy Kimmel, before he got big, he was saying racial slurs in videos, which if you turn on MTV, most of these black rappers, they're saying the N word every other word. It's okay if they do it. But Jimmy Kimmel goes and makes a joke about it. They know he's a racist. He's offended. I don't get that. He did on the Man Show, and I guess he was making fun of Karl Malone, because Karl Malone, when he first came in the league, the NBA, the great Utah Jazz player, he always talked to himself in the third person, which is kind of funny if you hear somebody do that as well. Karl Malone, when Karl Malone shows up to a basketball game, Karl Malone, it's like, you're Karl Malone, just say when I show up to a basketball game. But he always called himself Karl Malone, which was funny. So he said he wanted to imitate Karl Malone. Now, Karl Malone's a black man, so he asked the makeup artist, you make me look like Karl Malone. So they painted him up black so he could do the Karl Malone skit. Well, now they're telling him, oh, you're doing blackface and that's offensive and you're making fun of black people. And his intent was never to make fun of black people. His intent was to look like Karl Malone. But fucking people are losing their fucking minds nowadays with this shit. It's like they're twisting everything around into something it's not, to turn it into what they want to be offensive, whether it was meant that way or not. It's a weird world we're living in, man. I don't know what the future is. I don't know if it's gonna destroy comedy or what it's gonna do, but man, we're offended by everything nowadays. I'm gonna say we. I guess I'm part of the middle generation. I'm the older generation. I'm not the younger generation because I'm the middle generation. But yeah, I'm getting further and further. Like my father, he couldn't connect to our generation. I'm getting further to connect into the younger people's generation. That's for sure. You know, he said, his intention was not to insult. It was to, to imitate, not to insult. So that's what he did. Let's see. Here's a fun fact. No, you probably didn't know about Jimmy Kimmel. 2019, he released a book, the Serious Goose. I guess it was a kid's book where you got a long faced goose, and part of reading the book and playing with the book, I guess you got to turn the goose's frown into a smile, which good way to teach kids that what to do to turn that frown upside down. So that's always I thought that was a cool thing about Jimmy that you did not know, but you heard it here on Funny Like Clown podcast. Let's see. He said David Letterman and Howard Stern were his influences to do what he does. He influenced them as being different, which different sells, man. They tell you that in comedy too. Don't show up and tell a joke. Oh yeah, I went to the coffee shop. Yeah, it's been done. Come up with something different, man. And that's what sells in this business, when you can do something nobody's seen before. And they say what Elvis changed rock and roll, Pryor changed comedy, and Howard Stern changed radio. So then all three of those guys, they were doing something different. That's what it takes, man. You want to change something, you want to be one of the best, you got to do something different. Let's see, his personal life. He's married from 88 to 2002. That's a long haul right there, to the same woman. After he broke up, he dated Sarah Silverman, the well-known, comedian we have today, and everybody joked around. She slept her way to the top, sleeping with Kimmel to make a name for herself in comedy. May or may not be true. I don't know. They dated from 2002 to 2009. But they must have left on good terms, because he still had her on Late Night with Kimmel, Sarah Silverman, after they broke up. So they were always good. Then I guess he finally found another love, the co-writer of his show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, the co-head writer. I guess he married her, and they're living together to date. So Jimmy Kimmel, illustrious career, no real big scandals other than a couple things that everybody's offended by nowadays. But yeah, late night guy. He's the veteran right now. I can remember when Johnny Carson was the veteran. Just to be lumped in the same name with Carson, saying you're the late night veteran host of a talk show, and that's something else, man. He may not be getting the big ratings, but he's been doing it the longest. So he's a survivor, I guess. As I all said about Joan Rivers, man. she survived, man. Okay. She had her ups, had her downs. She survived. Same thing with Kimmel, and he's still a young man. Maybe he'll do it for many more years to come. Let's hope he does. This is Final Clown Podcast. We're doing go check out. I already did, I did the Lettermans and the Lenos and the Carsons. I already did those podcasts. I did a very good thing, I think, on the late night comedy wars back then. Now I'm going to be doing the modern day comedy wars. We started off with Jimmy Kimmel. Next week, I'll probably do Jimmy Fallon and follow it up with probably Stephen Colbert. We're talking about the modern day late night wars. And hey, war is good for business, as they always say. Keep laughing, folks, because, makes you happy. If you don't laugh, then you're not happy, right? And learning, not just laughing, you're learning. Okay, learning's a cool thing, man. Because who knew these things about Jimmy Kimmel until you heard him here? I'll keep you informed. Good night.